The deep space vessel Horizon floated silently at the edge of our solar system. Commander Alan Wright stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the main screen. Strange energy readings had appeared 3 days ago, and now the crew waited to see what would happen next. "Sir, the readings are getting stronger," said Officer Peter Hall, his voice calm but his hands tight on the controls. Commander Wright nodded. He had spent 30 years in space. He had seen asteroids, comets, and strange cosmic events. But these readings were different. They followed patterns. They had purpose. "Keep us at a safe distance," Wright ordered, "but maintain visual contact." Susan Miller, the ship's communication expert, worked quickly at her station. Her job was to listen for any signals, any messages that might come from the unknown source. "Commander, I'm picking up something," she said suddenly. "It's not radio. It's not any frequency we use. But it's definitely a signal." The crew grew quiet. First, contact. The moment humans had wondered about for centuries. The main screen flickered and then it showed something that made everyone gasp. A ship, but unlike any human vessel. It was huge, at least 10 times the size of the Horizon. Its surface gleamed, with a metal no one could name. It moved with a grace that seemed impossible for its size. "Record everything," Wright said, "and send a copy of all data back to Earth immediately." The alien ship seemed to notice them too. It changed course slightly, turning toward the Horizon. No one on the bridge spoke. They all wondered the same thing: friendly or hostile? The answer came quickly. The alien ship sent out a small craft. It approached the Horizon slowly. "They want to talk," Miller said, studying her screens. "They're sending simple mathematical sequences, basic communication attempts." Wright made a decision. "Reply with the same sequences. Show them we understand." For 3 hours, the two ships exchanged increasingly complex messages. The aliens learned English with shocking speed. Soon they were sending full sentences. "We are the Xyrillian Empire," their message said. "We claim this sector in the name of Emperor Krell. Your kind will be evaluated for usefulness." Wright frowned. The words seemed friendly enough, but something felt wrong. "Miller, are you sure that's the exact translation?" Susan checked her work again. "The translation is correct, but there's something else in their transmission. Hidden, data I can't access." The commander didn't like this. "Send a message back. Tell them we welcome peaceful contact, but that Earth is not available for claiming. This sector belongs to humanity." The response came quickly. "How charming. Your species will make fine servants after proper training." Now the mood on the bridge changed. Everyone understood the threat. "Sir," called out the sensor officer, "they're scanning us. Deep scans. They're looking at our weapons, our engines, everything." Wright knew what would happen next. The aliens were testing them, seeing how strong humans were, and the Horizon. A simple exploration vessel would seem weak. "Listen carefully," Wright told his crew. "I'm going to try something risky. If it fails, the backup plan is to run full speed to Earth with the warning." He opened a channel to the alien ship. "Xyrillian vessel, this is Commander Wright. We have analyzed your technology and found it impressive, but outdated by our standards. We have chosen not to display our full capabilities as a gesture of peace. Please withdraw your scan or we will consider it an act of aggression." It was a bluff. The Horizon had nothing that could hurt the massive alien ship. But Wright hoped aliens might not understand human deception. The alien ship paused its scan. Then a face appeared on the screen. It was humanoid, but clearly not human. Its skin was pale blue, its eyes large and black with no hair on its head. "I am High Commander Zevtark of the Xyrillian Empire," the alien said. "Your species shows unusual spirit. The Emperor will be amused when your planet joins our collection." Wright kept his face neutral. "We're not interested in joining any collection. Earth remains free." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Freedom is inefficient. The Empire brings order to chaos. Your primitive species will benefit from our rule." While this conversation happened, Wright had secretly ordered his crew to prepare for 2 things: recording all possible data about the alien ship and a quick escape. "One more thing," Wright said to the alien commander. "A gift, to show our technologies." He nodded to his weapons officer, who fired a small probe toward the alien ship. It wasn't a weapon, but the aliens didn't know that. The Xerillian ship reacted instantly, firing energy weapons that destroyed the probe in a flash of light. But the probe had sent back valuable data about the alien weapons. "A foolish gesture," Zevtark said. "Now you will surrender your ship for inspection." Wright smiled. "I don't think so." He cut the communication and turned to his pilot. "Evasive action. Let's show them how humans fly." The Horizon darted away, using the gravity of a nearby moon to gain speed. The alien ship fired, but the shots missed as the human vessel moved in ways the aliens didn't expect. "They're following," reported the sensor officer. "But they're slow to turn. Their weapons are powerful but take time to charge." Wright nodded. Weaknesses. They were finding the aliens' weaknesses. "Set course for the asteroid belt," he ordered. "We'll lose them there, then make a run for Earth." For the next 12 hours, the Horizon played a dangerous game of hide-and-seek with the Xerillian ship. The human vessel was smaller and more nimble. It used asteroids for cover, shut down systems to avoid detection, and made unpredictable course changes. Finally, they got their chance. When the alien ship moved to the far side of a large asteroid, the Horizon fired its engines to maximum and raced toward Earth. "They're not following," Miller reported finally. "We've lost them." But Wright didn't celebrate. They had escaped, but they had also learned something terrible. An advanced alien empire now knew about Earth, and they didn't see humans as equals. "Send all our data to Earth Command," Wright ordered. "And add this message. The Xerillians are coming. Prepare for war." As the Horizon sped home, Wright looked at the faces of his crew. They had just become the first humans to meet aliens. They had survived, but they had also started the clock on humanity's greatest challenge. Earth had maybe a few months before the Xerillian Empire arrived in force. Months to prepare for a war against an enemy with technology centuries ahead of their own. The real question was, could humanity possibly win? The news about aliens spread across Earth like wildfire. At first, many people did not believe it. But when governments around the world confirmed the story, panic began. Crowds filled the streets in major cities. Some people tried to leave the Idar cities for the countryside. Others stayed home and waited. Admiral Diane Carter sat in a large room deep under the Pentagon. Around her were military leaders from around the world. They had been enemies just days ago. Now they were allies against a common threat. "The recordings from the Horizon are clear," she said, pointing to the screen showing the massive alien ship. "The Xerillian Empire has technology far beyond ours. Their ships are faster, their weapons are stronger. If we fight them the normal way, we will lose." The room was quiet. These men and women had spent their lives preparing for war, but not this kind of war. "So what do we do?" asked General Luis Rodriguez from Brazil. "How do we fight an enemy we cannot match?" Admiral Carter stood up. She was tall, with short gray hair and eyes that had seen many battles. "We don't match them. We don't try to fight the way they expect. We use what makes humans special. We adapt, we surprise, we do the unexpected." She turned to a man sitting quietly in the corner. "Dr. Patterson, tell them what you found." Dr. Greg Patterson was not a military man. He was a scientist who had spent the last week studying the data from the alien ship. He walked to the front of the room looking tired but excited. "The alien technology is advanced, but it follows rules," he explained. "Their ships use a kind of energy we've never seen before. But energy always has patterns, and patterns can be disrupted." He showed diagrams on the screen. Most people in the room did not understand the science, but they understood the idea. Find a weakness, exploit it. "We need time," Patterson said. "We need to build devices that can disrupt their energy systems, and we need ships that can get close enough to use them." Admiral Carter nodded. "And that's why I've called you all here. Each country needs to start building these ships and devices immediately." We need to convert every factory, use every resource. This is not about countries anymore. This is about humanity. As the meeting ended, she called to a woman sitting nearby. Sharon, I need to talk to you. Sharon Wells was an engineer who had worked on America's most advanced aircraft. She had a brilliant mind for turning scientific theory into working technology. Dr. Patterson has the ideas, Admiral Carter said. But we need someone who can turn those ideas into weapons, someone who can work fast and think outside the box. Sharon nodded, her face serious. I'll need the best people from around the world, and access to all resources. You'll have it, the Admiral promised. Work with Patterson, make something that can hurt these aliens. In another part of the building, Major Kyle Jenkins watched videos of the alien ship. He had fought in many wars on Earth. He had trained special forces to fight in jungles, deserts, and cities. But aliens? This was new. Colonel Frank Lewis entered the room. They want you to train soldiers to fight the aliens on the ground, he said. Jenkins looked up. How? We don't know how they fight. We don't know their weapons or tactics. We know one thing, Lewis replied. From the Horizons report, they're organized, hierarchical. They follow orders exactly. That means they might not be good at improvising. Jenkins thought about this. So we train our people to be unpredictable, to make decisions on their own, to adapt when plans fail. Exactly, Lewis said. And we need to start now. Intelligence says we have maybe 2 months before the alien fleet arrives. Across the world, humanity prepared for war. Factories that once made cars now made parts for spaceships. Scientists who had competed against each other now worked together. Military forces that had been enemies now trained side by side. On the moon, astronaut Nancy Clark supervised the conversion of mining stations into hidden bases. The dark side of the moon would be perfect for launching surprise attacks on the alien fleet. We need to hide these bases from their sensors, she told her team. The first advantage we'll have is surprise. They don't expect us to have moon bases. The workers, a mix of military and civilian personnel, nodded. They had been working 20-hour days, sleeping in shifts. No one complained. Everyone understood what was at stake. Back on Earth, Admiral Carter visited the shipyards where the new defense fleet was being built. The ships were small compared to the Xerillian vessels, but they were fast and equipped with Patterson's disruptor technology. How many will be ready in time? She asked the shipyard manager. 30, maybe 40, he answered. Not enough to match their fleet, but enough to show them we won't be easy to conquer, Carter finished. In his lab, Dr. Patterson worked day and night with Sharon Wells and a team of the world's best scientists. They had made progress on the disruptor technology, but it was still not perfect. The problem is power, Sharon explained. We can make the disruptors work, but they use so much energy that they burn out quickly. Patterson nodded. So we need to make them count. 1 shot, maybe 2 before they stop working. That means our ships need to get very close to the alien vessels, Sharon said. And that means many of our pilots won't come back, Patterson added, quietly. They looked at each other, both thinking the same thing. Would humans be willing to sacrifice themselves in such numbers? The answer came when they visited the training center where pilots were preparing for the mission. Captain Richard Boyd, a young pilot with a calm face, spoke for the group. We understand the risks, Doctor. We know many of us won't return, but if our sacrifice gives Earth a chance, we're ready to make it. Patterson looked at the faces of the pilots. None of them were older than 30. All of them had volunteered. As the weeks passed, Earth's defenses took shape. The moon bases were complete and hidden. The small fleet of human ships was ready. The ground forces had trained for urban combat against an enemy they had never seen. Admiral Carter stood in the Global Command Center, looking at the big screen that showed all of Earth's defenses. It wasn't enough. She knew that. Against a galactic empire, Earth's forces seemed tiny. Admiral, a sensor operator called out. We're detecting multiple objects entering the solar system. Large objects moving fast. Carter took a deep breath. This was it. Send the alert to all commands. The Xerillian fleet has arrived. Across Earth, sirens sounded. People moved to emergency shelters. Soldiers took up positions. On the moon, the hidden bases activated their systems, but remained dark, waiting for the right moment. In orbit, Captain Boyd and the other pilots climbed into their ships. They had trained for this moment, but training was never the same as the real thing. "Remember," Boyd said to his squadron, "we only need to disrupt their formations, hit and run, don't try to fight them directly." Admiral Carter sent one final message to all forces. "The future of humanity depends on what we do in the next few days. We are outnumbered. We are outgunned. But we have something the Xerillians don't understand: the human spirit. We fight not just for ourselves, but for everyone we love and for all who will come after us. Today we show the galaxy what humans can do." As the alien fleet appeared on the edge of the solar system, humanity waited. The greatest test in human history had begun. No one knew if they would survive it. But one thing was certain: they would not surrender without a fight the Xerillians would never forget. The Xerillian fleet entered Earth's solar system with great confidence. 500 warships, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built, moved in perfect formation. At the center was the command ship where High Commander Zevtark stood, watching the main display. "Report on the human defenses," he ordered. An officer with pale blue skin and the rank marks of a colonel bowed slightly. "Minimal, High Commander. They have a small fleet of primitive ships in orbit around their planet. Some basic weapons platforms. Nothing that poses any threat to our forces." Zevtark nodded. This was exactly what he expected. The Xerillian Empire had conquered 1,000 worlds. Some fought hard, some surrendered immediately, but all of them fell in the end. These humans would be no different. "Begin standard conquest procedure," he ordered. "Destroy their orbital defenses first. Then target their military bases and power centers. Once they are helpless, we will land the occupation forces." The colonel sent the orders to the fleet. The Xerillian ships moved forward, spreading out to surround Earth, their weapons charged. The conquest of another primitive world was about to begin. But something strange happened. As the alien ships approached Earth, the human fleet did not form a defensive line as expected. Instead, the small Earth ships scattered in all directions. Some headed toward the moon, others flew toward Mars. It looked like they were running away. "They flee already?" the colonel said with surprise. "Without even fighting?" Zevtark frowned. This was not normal behavior. In his 300 years of military service, he had never seen a species scatter its forces this way at the start of a battle. "Keep watching them," he ordered. "This may be some primitive tactic we haven't seen before." The Xerillian fleet continued forward. They targeted Earth's visible defense platforms and fired. The platforms exploded easily. The aliens began to relax. Perhaps the humans were simply cowards. Then everything changed. From behind the moon, hidden, human ships suddenly appeared. They moved incredibly fast, darting toward the alien fleet from an unexpected direction. At the same time, the human ships that had seemed to be fleeing turned and attacked from multiple directions. Captain Richard Boyd led one of these attack groups. His ship, much smaller than the alien vessels, moved with a speed and agility that surprised the Xerillians. "Remember the plan," he told his pilots through the radio. "Get close, activate the disruptors, and get out fast. Don't try to fight them directly." The human ships zoomed between the huge alien vessels. When they got close, they activated Dr. Patterson's disruptor devices. The effect was immediate. The shields of the alien ships flickered and failed. Their weapon systems went offline for a few crucial seconds. In those seconds, other human ships fired missiles at the now vulnerable alien vessels. The missiles weren't very powerful by Xerillian standards, but without shields, they caused damage. On his command ship, Zevtark watched with growing anger as 3 of his warships reported serious damage. "What is happening?" he demanded. "How are these primitives hurting our ships?" "They're using some kind of energy disruption technology," an officer replied. "It's temporary, but it's enough to let their weapons through our shields." Zevtark had never seen such a tactic. The humans were not fighting the way primitive species usually fought. They weren't trying to match the alien fleet's power. They were using hit-and-run attacks, striking quickly and then retreating before the aliens could respond. "Adjust our defense systems," he ordered. "Change shield frequencies. They cannot disrupt what they cannot predict." But the humans had anticipated this. Sharon Wells had designed the disruptors to automatically adjust to changing shield frequencies. The human attacks continued to be effective. Meanwhile, on Earth, Major Kyle Jenkins led his Special Forces team through the streets of Chicago. The aliens had landed troops in major cities around the world. These troops were heavily armed and armored. In open combat, humans stood no chance against them. But Jenkins had trained his people for a different kind of fighting. As a group of alien soldiers marched down Michigan Avenue, human snipers fired from hidden positions in the buildings above. They aimed for joints in the alien armor and for their breathing apparatus. The alien troops responded with precise, disciplined movements. They formed a defensive circle and returned fire in coordinated volleys. Their training was excellent for fighting a conventional enemy, but the humans weren't fighting conventionally. As soon as the aliens focused on the snipers, another group of humans attacked from the sewers below the street. They planted explosives, then retreated before the aliens could respond. The explosion damaged the street and disrupted the alien formation. In the confusion, more human fighters attacked from different directions, then disappeared into the maze of buildings. This pattern repeated across the world. The aliens had superior weapons and armor, but the humans knew the terrain. They used guerrilla tactics, never staying in one place long enough for the aliens to bring their full power to bear. In space, the battle continued. The human ships took heavy losses. For every alien vessel damaged, 5 human ships were destroyed. But the humans kept fighting with a ferocity that shocked the Zerillians. Captain Boyd's ship darted around a massive alien cruiser, its disruptors causing the larger vessel's shields to flicker. 2 other human ships fired missiles at the cruiser's exposed weapon systems. "Pull back now," Boyd ordered as the alien ship began to respond. His ship shot away just as the cruiser fired its main weapons. The energy beam missed Boyd's ship, but hit another human vessel, vaporizing it instantly. Boyd felt sick as he watched his fellow pilots die. But there was no time for grief. Another alien ship was approaching, and his disruptors were almost burned out from overuse. "All ships in Group 7 target the vessel at coordinates 227 Mark III, he said into his radio. "Fire everything you have, then retreat to Rally Point Delta." On the Zerillian command ship, Zevtark was becoming frustrated. The battle was taking much longer than expected. Yes, they were winning. The humans couldn't possibly match the Empire's firepower, but they were losing ships. Important ships. This was supposed to be a simple conquest, not a costly war. "High Commander," the colonel reported. "Our ground forces are requesting additional support. The humans are using the urban environments against us. Our troops can't find the enemy long enough to eliminate them." Zevtark growled, a sound that made his officers step back in fear. These humans are not fighting logically. They must know. They cannot win. Why do they continue to resist? No one had an answer. In the Empire's long history, they had never encountered a species that fought so hard against such impossible odds. "Change of plans," Zevtark decided. "Withdraw our ground forces temporarily. We will use orbital bombardment to destroy their major cities. That will break their resistance." The order went out. Across Earth, the alien troops pulled back to their landing ships and returned to the fleet. Then the bombardment began. Energy beams from the alien ships struck major cities around the world. Buildings crumbled, fires spread. Millions of humans died in the first hour. But even this did not break the human spirit. From hidden bunkers deep underground, Admiral Diane Carter and other human leaders continued to coordinate the resistance. "They're getting desperate," Carter told her staff as they watched the destruction on their screens. "They expected us to surrender by now. The fact that they're resorting to these tactics means we're hurting them more than they want to admit." "But we're still losing," one of her officers said. "We can't keep this up forever." "We don't need to keep it up forever," Carter replied. "We just need to make this victory cost them more than they're willing to pay." The battle raged for 3 weeks. The humans lost city after city. Their fleet was reduced to a handful of ships hiding in the asteroid belt. But they continued to fight. Every time the aliens thought they had won, a new human resistance group would emerge. Every time they landed troops, they would face ambushes and traps. Finally, after losing 25 major warships and thousands of troops, Zevtark made a decision that no Imperial commander had made in centuries. He ordered a temporary retreat. "We will pull back to the edge of this system," he told his officers. "We will repair our ships and request reinforcements from the Imperial Corps. Then we will return and finish this conquest properly." As the alien fleet moved away from Earth, humans emerged from hiding to assess the damage. Major cities lay in ruins. Millions were dead. The orbital defenses were gone. Most of the human fleet had been destroyed, but they had done the impossible. They had forced the mighty Xyrillian Empire to retreat, even if only temporarily. In the underground command center, Admiral Carter gathered the surviving human leaders. "We've won the first battle," she said, "but the war has just begun. The Empire will be back, and they'll be stronger next time. We need to prepare." Dr. Patterson, who had worked day and night improving the disruptor technology, spoke up. "We've learned so much from this first encounter. We can build better defenses now, better weapons." Sharon Wells nodded in agreement. "And we know their weaknesses now. Their ships are powerful but not very maneuverable. Their troops are disciplined, but not adaptable. They follow rules and procedures that we can predict and exploit." The Xyrillian Empire was not used to failure. For 10,000 years they had conquered without serious challenge. The news of the retreat from Earth reached the Imperial Council on the home world, and the Emperor was not pleased. "This is unacceptable," Emperor Krell said, his voice cold with anger. "A primitive species forcing an Imperial fleet to withdraw? How is this possible?" The council members looked at each other nervously. No one wanted to deliver bad news to the Emperor. Finally, the oldest member spoke. "The humans fight in ways we have never seen before, Emperor. They do not follow the logical patterns of warfare. They continue fighting even when our calculations show they should surrender." The Emperor's black eyes narrowed. "Then we will send someone who knows how to deal with unusual enemies." He pressed a button on his throne. "Summon Grand Marshal Krovex and prepare the 7th Fleet." On Earth, 3 months had passed since the first attack. The humans had worked night and day to prepare for the Empire's return. Every factory on the planet produced weapons and ships. Every scientist worked on improving their technology. Every soldier trained for the coming battle. Admiral Carter stood in the new command center, built deep inside a mountain where alien sensors couldn't find it. She looked at the reports from around the world. "How many ships do we have now?" she asked. 120, her aide replied. "Still not enough to match their fleet, but more than before." Carter nodded. "And the new moon bases?" "Complete and fully armed. The aliens don't know about them yet." This was good news, but Carter knew it might not be enough. The Empire would not make the same mistakes twice. They would come back stronger and more determined. Her fears were confirmed when the long-range sensors detected a new fleet entering the solar system. This one was 3 times larger than the first. It moved with purpose and precision toward Earth. "All forces to battle stations," Carter ordered. "This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." Across Earth and the Moon, humans prepared for the fight of their lives. On the main ship of the alien fleet, Grand Marshal Krovex studied the human world. He was older than Zevtark, with scars on his blue face from hundreds of battles. He had never failed to conquer a world, and he did not intend to start now. "The humans expect us to attack as we did before," he told his officers. "We will not. We will show them what happens when the Empire truly goes to war." His plan was simple but devastating. Instead of targeting military installations first, he would attack civilian populations. Break the humans' will to fight by causing maximum suffering. It was a tactic he had used only twice before against species that refused to accept imperial rule. "Begin the attack," he ordered. "Target their largest population centers with the planet cracker beams." The fleet moved into position around Earth. The planet cracker weapons were designed for mining operations on uninhabited worlds. Using them on a living world was rare, even for the Empire, but Krovex wanted to send a message. The beams struck Earth's surface. Where they hit, the ground split open for miles. Entire cities disappeared into chasms. Millions died in the first minutes. Admiral Carter watched in horror as the sensors showed the destruction. "They're not even trying to preserve the planet for occupation," she said. "This is pure punishment." She made a quick decision. "Launch everything we have, all ships, all weapons. We need to stop those beams now." The human fleet emerged from hiding and attacked the alien ships. Captain Boyd, now commanding one of the new, faster vessels, led the first wave. "Target the ships firing the planet crackers," he told his pilots. "Ignore everything else." The human ships darted between the massive alien vessels, using the improved disruptor technology to knock out alien shields. This time, the Xyrillians were prepared. They adjusted their shields faster, making the disruptors less effective. But the humans had anticipated this. They had new weapons, too. Sharon Wells had developed a device that could lock onto the energy signature of the alien weapons and send a feedback pulse through the system. When it worked, it caused the alien weapons to overload. Several Xyrillian ships suffered serious damage when their own planet crackers exploded, but the human success didn't last. The Imperial fleet was simply too large. For every alien ship damaged, 3 human vessels were destroyed. The skies above Earth filled with the light of exploding ships. On the ground, things were even worse. The aliens landed troops in overwhelming numbers. Major Jenkins and his special forces fought bravely, but they were pushed back again and again. The aliens had learned from the first invasion and now used different tactics. They moved in smaller groups, secured areas completely before moving on, and targeted human hiding places with precision. In his laboratory, now relocated to a bunker, under the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Patterson worked frantically on a new weapon. The data from the first battle had given him an idea about the quantum principles behind the alien ship's power systems. If he could create a device that disrupted those systems on a massive scale, it might turn the tide. But time was running out. The alien bombardment had destroyed most of Earth's major cities. The human fleet was down to a handful of ships. The ground forces were in retreat everywhere. Then disaster struck. The aliens launched a precision strike against Patterson's laboratory. Someone had leaked its location. A single energy beam penetrated the mountain and hit the bunker directly. Sharon Wells was working with Patterson when the attack came. She saw the ceiling begin to collapse and pushed the old scientist toward the exit. Patterson made it to the door but turned back when he realized Sharon was trapped. "Go," she shouted. "Take the plans for the quantum disruptor. It's our only chance now." The ceiling came down. Patterson escaped with the precious data, but Sharon was crushed under tons of rock. Another brilliant mind lost to the war. When Admiral Carter heard about the attack, she knew what it meant. "They knew exactly where to hit us," she said grimly. "They have informants, humans working for the Empire." It was hard to believe anyone would betray their own species, but the evidence was clear. The aliens were targeting key facilities with perfect accuracy. They knew about projects even Carter hadn't been briefed on. As the situation grew more desperate, humans around the world retreated underground. They used old subway tunnels, mines, and natural cave systems to hide from alien sensors. They built makeshift factories deep below the surface, continuing to produce weapons even as their cities burned above them. Captain Boyd's ship was one of the last human vessels still fighting. He had led 5 desperate attacks against the alien command ship and lost most of his squadron. Now he was hiding in the debris field of destroyed ships, plotting one final strike. "This is Captain Boyd to all remaining Earth forces," he broadcast. "I'm going to attempt to knock out the enemy flagship's main reactor. If anyone can provide a diversion, now's the time." To his surprise, 3 human ships responded. They had been hiding, conserving power, waiting for the right moment. Together they formed a plan for one last attack. Boyd's ship would carry a special package, a prototype of Patterson's quantum disruptor. The other ships would create a diversion, drawing away the flagship's escorts. If Boyd could get close enough, the disruptor might disable the alien command ship. The attack began. The 3 ships appeared suddenly, hitting alien vessels with everything they had. The distraction worked. Several Xerillian ships broke formation to deal with the threat, leaving a small gap in their defenses. Boyd's ship shot through the gap, accelerating to maximum speed. Alien weapons fire flashed around him. His shields failed. Parts of his ship tore away, but he kept going, pushing the engines beyond their limits. "Almost there," he told his crew. "Stand by to detonate the disruptor." The alien flagship grew, larger in his view screen. It was enormous, easily 100 times the size of his small vessel. Its weapons began to target him. Energy beams sliced through what remained of his ship. Systems failed across the board. "Now!" Boyd shouted, hitting the detonation switch with his last strength. The quantum disruptor activated. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a wave of energy spread out from Boyd's dying ship. It hit the alien flagship and passed through, its shields as if they weren't there. The effect was immediate. The flagship's systems went haywire. Lights flickered. Weapons shut down. Engines failed. For a crucial minute, the center of the alien command structure was paralyzed. Grand Marshal, Krovex felt his ship shudder around him. Warning alarms blared on the bridge. "What happened?" he demanded. 2 weeks passed. In hidden bunkers deep beneath the ruined surface of Earth, the last free humans prepared for their final stand. More than half the human population had died since the war began. Cities that had stood for centuries were now smoking ruins. The blue skies that had sheltered humanity for millennia were filled with alien ships. Dr. Patterson and Sharon Wells worked day and night to finish the quantum disruptor. The device was larger than they had planned, the size of a small car, but it was finally ready. "Will it work?" Admiral Carter asked, looking at the strange machine with its complicated arrays of crystals and energy coils. Patterson, looking much older than when the war began, nodded slowly. "In theory, yes. The prototype that Captain Boyd delivered proved the concept. This one is 100 times more powerful." Sharon Wells, her arm still in a cast from her injuries, added, "The effect should spread through the entire alien fleet. Their quantum power systems will overload and shut down. Not permanently, but long enough." "Long enough for what?" Carter asked, though she already knew the answer. "Long enough for us to strike at their command ship," Patterson said quietly. "If we can destroy their leadership, it might force them to withdraw." Carter looked at the faces around her. Everyone knew this was a desperate plan. The chances of success were tiny, but it was the only plan they had left. "We need a way to get this device to the center of their fleet," she said. "Any ideas?" For a moment, no one spoke. Then a voice came from the back of the room. "I'll do it." Everyone turned. Standing in the doorway was Major Kyle Jenkins. His face was thin from months of fighting, and a fresh scar ran across his cheek, but his eyes were clear and determined. "My team and I will take it," he said. "We've been working on a plan." Jenkins stepped forward and activated a display screen. It showed an alien troop transport. "We captured this 3 days ago. It's damaged, but Wells says she can get it flying again. The aliens don't scan their own ships very carefully. We can get close before they realize what's happening." Admiral Carter studied the plan. It was risky. Extremely risky. But no more so than doing nothing. "How many volunteers do you need?" she asked. "Just 5, Jenkins replied. "Myself, a pilot, and 3 others to operate the disruptor and handle any fighting if we're discovered." Carter nodded. "When can you be ready?" 24 hours, Jenkins said. "We need to make some modifications to the ship and do a final test of the disruptor." The next day, the small team prepared for their mission. The alien ship had been repaired as best they could. The quantum disruptor was loaded aboard and secured. Each member of the team said their goodbyes to friends and family, knowing they would not return. Admiral Carter met them in the launch bay. "The fate of humanity rests on your shoulders," she told them. "But you already know that, or you wouldn't have volunteered." Jenkins smiled slightly. "We're not doing this just for humanity today, Admiral. We're doing it for all the humans who might exist tomorrow. Our children, our future. Even if we die, humans will continue." Carter nodded, too moved to speak. She watched as the team boarded the alien craft. The bay doors opened, and the ship rose slowly, then shot upward toward the surface. The alien ship, with its human crew, emerged from a hidden entrance in what had once been the Colorado Mountains. It accelerated upward, using the damaged but still functional alien engines. Inside, Jenkins and his team worked quickly. They had studied the alien controls, but everything was different. The pilot, a young woman named Olivia Garcia, had spent days learning how to fly the craft. Now she guided it upward with careful precision. Approaching the fleet, she reported. No sign they've detected anything unusual yet. Jenkins looked at the scanner. The alien fleet filled Earth orbit, thousands of ships surrounding the planet like a metal cloud. At the center was the massive command ship of Grand Marshal Krovex. Head for the center, he ordered. Remember, we need to get as close to that command ship as possible for maximum effect. The disguised ship moved through the alien fleet. Several times they received automated signals from other ships. They didn't respond, hoping the aliens would assume their communication system was damaged. We're being scanned, reported Sam Baker, one of Jenkins' team. I think they're getting suspicious. Jenkins made a quick decision. Fire up the engines, to full. Make a run for the command ship now. The ship lurched forward, accelerating toward the center of the fleet. Now alarms were sounding. They had been discovered. They're firing, Garcia shouted, taking evasive action. Energy beams from nearby alien ships flashed past them. The stolen ship shuddered as one beam grazed its hull. Almost there, Jenkins said, watching the distance to the command ship shrink on the scanner. Just a little closer. On the Imperial flagship, Grand Marshal Krovex received the alert. A human-controlled ship? How did they get one of our vessels? Unknown, Grand Marshal, an officer replied. But they're heading straight for us. Krovex's eyes narrowed. Destroy them immediately. The flagship's weapons activated, targeting the approaching vessel. But it was too late. Now, Jenkins shouted. Activate the disruptor. The quantum disruptor powered up, energy built within its crystalline heart. Baker hit the final activation switch, and a wave of quantum disruption spread outward from the small ship. It hit the nearest alien vessels first. Their lights flickered and died. Weapon systems shut down, engines failed. Then the wave continued, outward, affecting ship after ship. When it reached the flagship, the effect was even more dramatic. Designed to focus most of its energy on the command ship, the disruptor caused systems across the massive vessel to explode in showers of sparks. Grand Marshal Krovex felt his ship dying around him. For the first time in his long life, he felt fear. These humans had done something impossible. They had created a weapon that targeted the very foundation of Imperial technology. But the triumph was short-lived. The aliens, despite their surprise, recovered quickly. Ships that weren't completely disabled fired on the human vessel. Energy beams tore through its hull. In moments, it exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Jenkins and his team were gone. But they had succeeded. All across the alien fleet, ships drifted powerless. The command structure was in chaos. Communications were down. Admiral Carter, watching from the command center, saw her chance. Launch everything we have left, she ordered. Target the command ship while it's vulnerable. Earth's remaining defenses activated. Hidden missile platforms on the moon opened fire. The last few human ships, which had been hiding in the asteroid belt, made a desperate rush toward the crippled alien fleet. The flagship, its defensive systems still offline from the quantum disruption, took multiple hits. Explosions tore through its massive hull. Secondary systems failed. Fires broke out across the ship. On the bridge, Grand Marshal Krovex watched in disbelief as his mighty vessel fell apart around him. The humans had done this. A primitive species had brought the Empire's greatest military leader to the edge of defeat. Evacuate the flagship, he ordered. All forces regroup at the edge of the system. But many ships couldn't respond. Their systems were still down. Others were being picked off by human attacks as they tried to retreat. For the next hour, the battle raged. The humans, knowing this was their last chance, fought with incredible ferocity. They targeted the alien fleet's most powerful ships first, focusing their limited resources where they would do the most damage. Finally, what remained of the alien fleet managed to regroup. Almost half their ships had been destroyed or disabled. The mighty Imperial 7th Fleet, pride of the Empire, had been dealt a devastating blow. Grand Marshal Krovex, now on a secondary command ship, faced a decision no Imperial commander had made in living memory. Continue fighting and risk losing the entire fleet or retreat. The humans will die eventually, one of his officers argued. We still have enough ships to destroy their world completely. Krovex was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "To what end? We have already lost more ships in this campaign than in the last 100 conquests combined. The Empire cannot afford such losses." He made his decision. "Order all forces to withdraw from this system. We will return to Imperial space." The alien fleet, or what remained of it, turned away from Earth. Engines flared as they accelerated, eager to leave the system that had cost them so dearly. On Earth, humans emerged from their underground shelters to see the alien ships retreating. At first, no one could believe it. After all the death and destruction, after being pushed to the very edge of extinction, humanity had somehow survived. Admiral Carter addressed the survivors from the command center. Her face, broadcast on whatever screen still worked around, the world showed the toll of the war. But there was pride there too, and hope. "Today we have done what no one thought possible," she said. "We have forced the Xyrillian Empire to retreat, not because we were stronger, not because we had better technology, but because we refused to surrender, because we fought with everything we had down to our last breath." She paused, letting her words sink in. "The cost has been terrible. Billions of our people are dead. Our cities lie in ruins. The earth itself bears scars that may never heal. But we are still here. Humanity survives.